All right, we were in the backstage. So it's 3 o'clock. Where are you all at? Where are you all located? Actually, Shanta, where are you?
I'm in Seattle right now.
Seattle. So you got noon ish lunchtime.
Mhm.
Thank you
Yep.
for your lunch.
I
Uh,
ate before this, so.
Mitch, where are you?
Yeah,
Indianapolis.
I'm in Indianapolis. Yeah.
Cool. All right. If you're in the public chat, I see a bunch of people. Let us know where you're writing in from. Just real quick. I like to do this at the beginning. Put your name in, where you're coming from. Elizabeth is in Amsterdam. Oh my. Okay. Hello. All the bots are here. No, those are real people. Emmy's in London. Chris is in British Columbia. I can't even keep up with these. This is awesome. So many people here. Okay. We got people from Boston, Portland, Indianapolis, Atlanta,
Barcelona in the house. I
Barcelona
love
in the
that.
house. Draper, Utah in the house. Tingsboro, Massachusetts. Shout out to Tingsboro, Massachusetts. All right, this is awesome. So we're back. Some of you may have joined us for the last one. That Exit 5 we here at the kind folks here at Exit 5 did with the crew over at Demandwell, but we're thinking of another type of live event that we wanted to do, and obviously this is going to be live, but if you're listening on this will be in a couple weeks on the Exit 5 podcast, which you can go and check out, and we'll also have this recording for everybody that registered. I said on LinkedIn yesterday that if you asked if this is going to be recorded, you have to run a mile and send us your mile time. So this is going to be recorded. We'll send it out after to everybody who registered, because I know that not everybody's able to make it live. But I just wanted to kill some time and do some small talk, and now let everybody get in. So here we are. Mitch, why don't you do a quick intro, background on yourself and Demandwell really quickly, and then just give context, and then we're going to hop right into this thing.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. So, hey, everyone. So glad to see you all here. Name's Mitch Causey, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Demandwell. My background is all in SEO. There's been times where that's been like an existential crisis for me, where I don't want to be a one-trick pony, but I'm a one-trick pony, and that's okay. So, all about SEO for my whole career. And then just a couple years ago, started Demandwell to help other people do well at SEO as well. Our mission is to help others grow. And today we do that mostly through SEO.
All right. Nice to see you again, Mitch. Chantal, say hey for people that don't know you, and tell us
Hey,
what you do at Demandwell.
I'm Chantal. I'm the director of marketing at Demandwell. I also feel like a one-trick pony because I've been in B2B SaaS my whole career, and sort of
Whoa. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. There's
I
nothing
know.
wrong with that. Let's pump the brakes.
No shade. I'm in it too. And I love it, so I'm going to stay the course.
Awesome. All right. So we got a lot. We're going to cover a lot. We had how many out of the 9,000-ish people registered? Do you remember how many submissions we got for this?
Hundreds.
Okay.
Yeah.
So out of the hundreds, our AI algorithm has selected five sites that we're going to dig into today. And look, there's a ton of people on here, and like, we're not going to get to your websites, but I think this is going to be a valuable exercise for anybody in B2B marketing, especially when you're thinking about website, which is the most important part of your company, of your brand. It's your storefront. And so I think that, and I've seen some of the notes, and I have a feeling of the stuff that Mitch and I are going to talk through. I think that this stuff, you're going to get principles that you can apply to your own business. And so don't just take this as like, this is not about my website, I'm not going to pay attention. I think that even as I was going through adding my own notes, I kind of repeated the 2 or 3 same themes over and over. And so I think there's going to be a lot of helpful stuff in here. But also, as you're in the chat, there's hundreds of other marketers here. We're not going to be able to bring everybody in for Q&A, but in the chat, as we're going into each one of these websites, add your own thoughts, suggestions, add your own color to this. I will try to host an MC and like kind of pull some of that stuff in. But I think also, like, one thing that makes this great for the people that are here is get in the chat, talk about what you would change, what why you might do this, or how you've done it. And I think that will be really valuable. Okay, so Shanta, let's kick us off. Why don't you give us the first company, pull up their website, and just kind of give us an overview of their goals. And then we're going to go through like the messaging and positioning stuff first. Then we're going to go to SEO. Those are the 2 aspects that we're going to cover each site from.
Totally. So the first site is UpGuard. And Axel, if you're on, it was submitted by Axel. Their goals are around content production, web traffic, but ultimately pipeline and revenue. And I really liked that they had both leading indicators and lagging indicators as their goals for content marketing. So let me just pull up their site real quick.
Perfect. All right, and Mitch, you've done homework on this too. So while we're pulling this up, like give me a bullet or so of your reaction to this site first.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll just say, to kind of kick things off, mad props to at least the ones we're talking about today. Everyone was very lower funnel focused in terms of the metrics or the reason why they're interested in SEO. So hopefully, principally, hopefully the folks on the call, believe in that. SEO is great for driving traffic, but who cares? If you're not driving business, it doesn't really matter. And so
by lower funnel, you mean like of the reasons that the reasons that they're thinking about the site, they are thinking about revenue, meaning like as opposed to like, oh, we're trying to achieve X traffic number.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the most common word is probably pipeline, which I think is common. I prefer hard revenue, but if you can at least do pipeline, then I think that's fantastic.
Okay, cool. So I put a couple notes in this earlier this morning and last night. So one thing that I love about this site, this UpGuard site, is I have no idea how this is performing. So ultimately, also you got to take all this with a grain of salt, because like we don't actually know the performance of this website. So it could be the most insane converting website ever. But I'm gonna try to talk through this as like lessons for others. I love this free, the kind of split call to action here, which is free score and free trial. I think that a lot of B2B SaaS companies, we jump right to like the only call to action on the website is free trial or talk to sales or get a demo. And that is very, very bottom of the funnel. And I think that like not everyone, at least the way that I buy and as a B2B buyer in the past, like I don't just show up to somebody's website and I'm like, you know what? Yes, I do want a demo right now. And so I think the more you can try to like map the steps that somebody might want. And so I think for a company like this in this space, this is a fantastic, like you could call it like lead magnet, right? My favorite one of all time is HubSpot's website grader. So you could go to this and maybe you're not ready to sign up for a trial yet, but you're going to go and get this free score, which is some assessment. What's your reaction to assessments, Mitch? And Chantal, always feel free to chime in too, but you have an assessment as a core funnel offer for Demandwell. What do you think about this here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is critical to have full funnel content and CTAs, especially when the intent of a page is unknown. So this page in particular is the home page, right? It's going to have traffic from all sorts of sources for all sorts of reasons. It's going to be competitors, hiring candidates, all sorts of stuff. You got to have variety there. I do think once you get down further in the funnel where it's obvious, like maybe on solutions or pricing, narrow down to lower funnel. But yeah, I totally agree. If it's on this kind of front door type of page, having a mix is fantastic.
Okay. Other thing I got on this is just as far as the headline goes. The headline, and granted, I'm not the buyer for this. The headline doesn't do it for me, and there's the real reason is like it talks about this new standard, but I'm just hitting your website and I'm not sure, you haven't addressed like what is the old way then. And so is there an opportunity to like talk about the old way versus the new way, or is there a way to like throw rocks at the old way? I also might think about flipping the sub headline and the headline. Reason being is the sub headline is much more benefit focused, and I see this with a lot of B2B SaaS companies. Like we kind of like lead with this headline that is very good for the investor deck or like the company about us page, but for some reason like we write the headline that same way. And so for me, the new standard in third-party risk and attack surface management is not a benefit-driven headline, whereas like you actually have some of this stuff in here. UpGuard is the best platform for securing your organization's sensitive data. And so I would push on like what is the one or two key core benefits that you get from using this. Then you can later say it's the new standard in third-party risk and attack surface management. The other thing though is I struggle with any company calling the new or the best. You have to just I like to try to prove those with specifics as opposed to just like use those words. What else did I have here? The other thing was like the social proof. If you could scroll down a little bit, there's some amazing and legit logos on this site, but they're not immediately visible in this like above the fold frame of the website. And some people might disagree this, and I do have like I guess like a fetish for social proof for some reason. But I would just try to move some of this stuff up because it's like the very first impression. And I think that logos and names can like also be great product marketing without having to say it in a million words. And there's like a great section down at the bottom of this website, if you keep scrolling more, where they talk about our security research has been featured in the New York Times, the New Yorker, the Washington Post, TechCrunch, Bloomberg, all those stuff like that. These are some like instant credibility things that I just think are too far buried down the website, where a lot of people like to bury this stuff. But I think of the website the same way that I think about copywriting, which is what's the goal of the first line of copy? It's to get somebody to read the second line. And if I can get you to read the second line, I'm going to get you to read the third line if I get all the way down. And so like, I'm not an expert at web design or web layout, but the way that I think about it just from a story perspective is I want to kind of lay those things out. And so I want to lead with social proof and examples and testimonials at the top to like hook you. And then I can tell you all of the other things, later. And then I got one more note, and then I'm going to kick it over to you. Chantal, can you scroll all the way to the bottom? There's this section that, scroll up a little bit more. Sorry. Keep going right here. This section, I just didn't understand what this is. Cybersecurity and risk management library. Is this like a separate content piece? And then all of these kind of came off as like, are those broken thumbnail images? They just stood out as something off, where like, could you have copy that's more specific here to be like, want to learn more about cybersecurity and risk management? Here's content that you can browse free in our library. Last thing is, there's 2 words on this site that I caught, and this applies to everyone, and I'm guilty of this too. There's probably some of it on the Exit 5 site. I use it all the time, and we got to stop it because it doesn't mean anything. All-in-one platform and complete toolkit. Those are crutch words, and I'm saying this as someone who uses them all the time. It takes like, an outside perspective to see that, but I just like, our brains just, everybody says that, and so our brains just like don't even count them as points, as credible points. And so I'd much rather you remove them and just be more specific. So those are my early morning notes from this morning. But Mitch, I'm going to kick it over to you and take a sip of my water.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, I do have a couple notes just from more of the SEO specific side. One, which may or may not be a theme throughout this, but I'll share. Bonus points to UpGuard for relatively fast site. On average, we clocked it at 2.3 seconds to see your first contentful paint, which is kind of like the first like actual pages, actual like visualization within a web browser. 2.3 is good. 3 and below is really the target. So great job there. One thing that I noticed, kind of by and large, looking at the types of keywords that UpGuard is ranking for and what pages are ranking for those keywords, that's a really important concept of matching the right type of content to the right type of keyword, so that when someone is searching for something, you're meeting them where they're at instead of creating kind of a different experience. One that I'll call out here is it seemed like a general theme here. This is very common, so hopefully this does apply to many more sites. But one kind of lower funnel keyword was configuration management software, and they're ranking pretty well for that. But when we Google that and see the page that is ranking, it is actually a blog post. And so that, I don't know if we want to pull that up now or just conceptually. It seemed like that was happening a lot, where blogs were really the primary ranking mechanism. Yeah, let's see if UpGuard can show up. Hey, that's the risk of live right there.
Come on, baby.
Maybe just throw UpGuard at the end just to make sure we do see it.
you go. This one?
Yeah, exactly. So this was, and again, to Dave's point earlier, I don't know if this is actually performing well or not, but configuration management software, from my perspective, would probably be on that lower funnel end, but we're serving a pretty high funnel type of experience. So someone who's an intern an intern as a junior in college somewhere might get a ton of value out of this. But not necessarily, someone who is really looking for a piece of software to help solve that need. So point being,
so could you answer that? Could you still, because like this could also be a relevant piece of content. So like they could still have an article for this topic, but it wouldn't be the page that you would want to rank for that keyword.
Yeah, exactly. So you could take that approach and say, let's create a new page and rank for that keyword, or simply say, run conversion rate optimization tests on this page. Maybe like I mentioned earlier, maybe a splashier lower funnel up front. And if they're not ready for that, they can scroll down to the higher funnel type content. But just generally having a blog be the primary ranking mechanism for all keywords typically will be leaving some conversion on the table.
Can we go into that a little bit deeper? Because a question came up in chat that people are upvoting. What is wrong about the blog being the primary ranking mechanism? Is it mainly because like the blog is typically not where the conversions happen?
Yeah. I think it typically comes down to format, honestly. Most blogs look like most blogs. And so when we hop onto a blog, our brain goes into, I'm in a blog, and I'm not in buy mode right now. Whereas if when we landed here and it looked more like a solutions page, and we were looking for a solution in the form of software, for example, there's no screenshots of any software happening right here, right? There's no we have the free trial button, but how do we know that this company even does have software, until we, potentially scroll down a lot more. So things like that, making sure that you're actually looking like, software, you're delivering that experience that people are looking for.
Maybe another way to frame it also is if you were bidding on the terms configuration management software in PPC, would you ever send someone to this landing page? Probably not.
Nice.
You'd probably send them to a landing page that's made for that and for that conversion.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like you basically need to have a actual keyword strategy though to do the things that you both are talking about. Because I've been in this position where at Drift, early days Drift, we just had random content oh shoot, that blog post is ranks for product marketing, and it's well, no, but we don't want that to rank there. We want it to rank here. And so this has to be intentional, right? And that's kind of what you're getting at.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of creating content, seeing what it ranks for, ideally you'd have, kind of a grasp of what your keyword universe looked like, planned out which content you wanted where, create that content. It's more intentional, but honestly, this is one of the most common situations we see because blogging is so popular and has been for so long.
Shanta, what do you say to this one? Any suggestion on how to move those high traffic blog pages into pages? I feel like you all are currently living in my head. This is a huge issue on our site.
Man, I mean, we've taken the approach internally where we kind of get a page live, and then once it actually starts to rank, we'll then look back at it and say okay, how can we change it? And it's basically different for every page, and you kind of just decide based on what the intent of the searcher is and what you have to offer them, what you want to do. So what we do for our feature related pages is we'll try to make sure that they're seeing all the content that we have about that feature to help them understand what they're getting if they're searching for a software related term.
And what would you do if you had so say you're looking at this, you're in Search Console or whatever you SEO people find this kind of magic, and you find that in that Drift example, I have this, we're ranking for the term product marketing, but it's a blog post that's ranking for this. We actually have a website page that's ranking for this, how do you actually go and like switch that? Is it a linking thing? Like what do you have to do over time to make that switch?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of factors. If internal linking has not been a part of it, and has not been intentional, that is like the first place to go. So linking from the one that you do not want to rank to the one that you do want to rank, using specifically the anchor text of the keyword that you're trying to get the other one to rank for, that is square one, if it's not already happening. If it is already happening, I would take a look at internal links across the entire site and see, is that keyword being used to promote that page that is currently ranking? If so, swap those. Go to those links, put it, swap out the URL for the one that you want to rank. If you do both of those things, honestly, you're talking 90% success rate. To get to the last 10%, I would look for like external links, like have your next PR push, point to that kind of thing.
And can it happen quickly? Like, is it days? Is it weeks? Is it months?
I typically will say, like most SEO changes, I have like a 2-week buffer kind of thing, and this one I think fits within that. Could happen that next day, could happen 2 weeks later.
Awesome. Okay, you have more notes on this, but just maybe pick one, and we'll do closing thoughts on this. And we're going to move to the next one.
Yeah, sounds good. So actually, perfect segue to one of these. We actually found that there were over 2,000 URLs on this site that are found on the XML sitemap, but have no HTML internal links. So you're kind of telling Google two different stories. You're telling Google, XML-wise, we care about all these things. HTML-wise, which is really more important because that's the people side. People never see the XML. People only see the HTML. On that side, we don't care about these. And so it's not that all those should be. It's that it probably needs a review of making sure that you're consistent there with only the ones that you truly care about showing up.
Lovely. All right. Thank you to who submitted that one?
Axel from UpGuard.
All right. Thanks, Axel. Good work. By the way, I've been in the position of having others critique my website, and I hate it. So please don't, like, I've been there. Or then, like, especially if like your boss finds this recording and then like they send you like a note of like 20 changes they want to make to the website. So maybe don't show this video to the CEO. Keep this one within marketing. Okay, let's get over to the next one, which is GetAccept.
GetAccept.com. So next up, we have GetAccept from Terra. Their KPIs are organic traffic, funnel engagement from new users specifically, getting high intent MQLs all the way through deal creation and pipeline. So let me share my screen.
Sorry for the distraction, but how great. Ray is just in chat, just throwing haymakers right now. I hope someone at Demandwell screenshots this when it's renewal time. I'd like a discount. I love it. All right, GetAccept. Ray, good. Keep up the good fight in chat. Was this the next one? Yeah, GetAccept. Okay, what did I write for this one? Okay, this one, I don't know how to articulate this, but something about the headline, close deals faster, period, digitally, period, just didn't hit me right. Chantal, you nodded your head to that. Are you agreeing with me or something different?
One thing I really like about it is that it's super simple and it gets straight to the pain, which is close deals faster. The thing that's a little confusing is like the digitally part, which is maybe just because I'm not their target buyer, maybe.
Right. Yeah, well, because like your life is already digital, like it's already digital. So, yeah, that like, do you need the digitally? Like, I think this website, through the screenshots and product marketing, like you see what this is and you talk about digital sales room. And so it just feels like it might be a distraction. And I think sometimes like a 3-word headline, when done right, can be really powerful. Close deals faster, close more deals by sending sales content with personalized videos, reminders, live chat, and e-signatures with the digital sales room platform for the best remote selling experience. Are you ready to learn more? That part to me is not bad. I think it could be like tightened up, and I would lose some of the digital stuff. I will say, back to the conversation from the first one, I think this type of product is the perfect type of product to lead with a value, with a benefit driven headline. And so, like, instead of maybe even instead of close deals faster, or instead of what you have in this little blurb here, go back to what I said earlier about first line, second line, third line. Like, what do you really want? You're not going to convert someone in this 1 second. This is a much more enterprise, like, B2B SaaS type of product. So how can you tell the story about like what's changed, what's changed in the world, or what like, could you say something like the old way of selling is dead? Say goodbye to the old way of selling, right? How can you throw rocks at the old way of doing things? And I think you can be more specific in your copy and throughout the rest of the site, and then you don't need to say things like close deals faster digitally. Like, one of my favorite positioning things that we did at Drift was, instead of talking about chat, we talked about chat as, imagine you had your top sales rep sitting on your website, sitting at your storefront, greeting every one of your dream customers as they walked by your door. Wouldn't that be an amazing experience? Do you think that would probably convert better? But what we were really saying was, like, use live chat to convert more people. And so I think, like, this is the stuff that I love. This is the copywriting. This is the storytelling. But I think that there's something there that you could go deeper on. And so maybe instead of saying digitally, could you say like 24/7 from anywhere, and talk about how the sales process has shifted? Another note that I made, and I saw this on a couple of the other sites, and I'm not a designer. I look at everything I say, I give a caveat. This is ridiculous. Just own it, Dave. This is your job. So it's just because I'm so bruised from like getting marketing feedback all these years that I'm like, you know what, I want to be really, like, I don't want to seem like I'm critiquing this too hard. But I like to use, like, for some reason, it just always strikes me, like, it hits me in the wrong way when I see a CTA that's like, book a demo, and then there's just like all this blank space around it and nothing else there. Like, very few people are going to go to your website and say, you know what, the reason I am on the Get Accept website today is to book a demo. Like, they're probably browsing and doing other things. And so could you basically like sell the demo more? Like, why do I want a demo? Could you add an arrow and some helper copy there that's like, talk to one of our digital selling, and you're not going to use digital selling as we've talked about, but I'm using this to make an example. Talk to one of our digital selling experts today, and in 30 minutes we'll help you uncover how X, Y, and Z. Like, don't just drop it off like, get a demo. Like, position the demo as something of value, right? Like, get an assessment, talk to one of our conversational marketing experts today, and we'll tell you how you can fix your website in 30 minutes. Like, I would position the demo more like that. And that was kind of like my feedback throughout the whole site. Like, Chantal, can you scroll all the way to the bottom of this site? I think there's basically like 4 words and then a book a demo thing at the bottom of this site. It just says, like, all the way at the bottom, it says, streamline your sales process, book a demo. And it takes up so much of this space on the site. On one hand, you can say, yeah, whoever's scrolling all the way to this point is probably ready to do that. But still, I would say, like, why is there no social proof here? Why is there no mention of like results? I think that you need to have those go hand in hand with the CTAs. Do either of you have any copy messaging reactions to this on top of what I'm sharing here?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think you're spot on with, selling the call to action, not just providing it. I think that's really good. I'm taking that away from today. I need to do significantly better of that.
Yeah, that's an old school like copywriting technique, which is like, it's why I like people use a lot of like hand drawn elements in design and stuff. Like, you're circling things and you're drawing arrows. But like, I also think it just comes down to like framing the book a demo thing. Like,
yeah,
why would you not want to frame that in a different way? Like at Privy, we were selling to small businesses in the e-commerce marketing space, and it was like, book a 30-minute conversation with one of our e-commerce marketing specialists and learn how you could be driving more revenue from your website today. Like, I think every B2B SaaS company could position their sale as that. Plus, think about it. We're all in B2B marketing here today, right? The B2B buying process is super complex. It takes weeks and months. There's 18 to 20 people, involved. It's very rarely going to be like that. Someone's going to come in, book a demo, and buy on the spot. So,
yeah.
All right. bring us the SEO goods.
Okay. So I've got some goods and some bads on this one. So let's talk about a bad one. Page speed. I believe this was actually the slowest of the sites, and now this is interesting. Either slowest or second slowest. It's 3.2 seconds for the first contentful paint, and that might sound really close to the 3-second benchmark. What I typically see is if folks are, around that mark, often websites basically by and large get slower and slower and slower over time. There's just more tech debt that happens. There's more plugins that you find that you like and you add to the site. You've got more JavaScript because your marketing tech stack is increasing, right? Things get slower unless you're really intentional about it. So when I see 3.2 seconds for that load time, I think you're right on the edge. It will most likely get worse probably by the end of this year. You'll get even further. So I would just suggest this isn't like raise a red flag and have all hands on deck, but it is like probably need to take a look at what is contributing to that. Probably take a look at how can you get proactive about dropping that down.
Have you ever been in a high stakes venture capitalist office and say, "Hey, let me pull up your website on your phone," and Dave sits there for 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and the CEO's like, "Show him the new website, Dave." 4 seconds,
Right.
5 seconds. I've been there. It's not fun.
Yeah,
why is that the like? What's the revenue pitch? Is page speed a revenue pitch like pretty black and white? Like if I'm ordering food online, it's like if the website loads quickly, everything's better.
Yeah, so it's really twofold, but kind of all for the same reason. One, we all hate slow stuff, right? We'd all rather have fiber than dial up, of course. And so, yes, conversions will be better, kind of no matter what industry, if the website is moving quicker. And I am seeing that I'm getting a warning of a problem on my video. So if I need to do anything, let me know.
It's too hot. Too much knowledge is being dropped.
Yeah.
This question keeps coming up. I feel like either we've answered it and people aren't paying attention, or we just keep, or maybe how do people get page speed?
Yeah. Okay. So real quick first, let me finish that thought. So it is because if it's faster, it performs better. The second thing is Google knows that people like faster websites, and Google's mission statement through the years has been we want to get people the best information on the internet as fast as possible. So if it's a fast site, you're going to win twofold. You're going to rank better, actually, purely because of that, and you're going to see higher conversion. If you're slower, you're going to rank less and see a worse conversion for those who see you. So I personally love the Lighthouse plugin and API that you can. I'm a Chrome user, so I love the Lighthouse Chrome plugin that essentially uses Google's own API of sorts to tell you what's going on.
Part of this conversation is also about bounce rate, right? Because like Google can tell what your load speed is on its own, but then if it also increases your bounce rate, which it does, then you get like double penalized, because then Google's like, oh, something's weird about this page. People don't like it.
Yeah.
So like outside of content, high speed and low bounce rate are going to be other factors that will determine where your site ranks.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. All right. This is great. Dave is learning SEO in 2022.
And I will just say, in case anyone is hardcore SEO nerd here, I will say I do not believe technically bounce rate is involved, because that is a Google Analytics thing, or post, like Google proper can't see that. But what they can see is the time it took you to leave Google and come back and look at the kind of header request logs of that. So in effect, it is, but just in case.
Are you giggling because that question comes up all the time whenever you talk about that?
All the time, yeah. I think bounce rate is the most commonly said and least understood metric, like in all of digital marketing.
Okay. Now you know. Thanks for the caveat. We definitely would have got an email on the podcast whenever this comes out later. All right. You got one more thing on this site?
Yeah, let's do. Okay, so there is a. This was the only site of the 4 that actually has an HTML website. That is something that has fallen completely out of vogue, but there's really no reason for it. I like to say, because I'll share with our customers all the time, you need to create an HTML sitemap, and they'll send it to their dev team, and their dev team will say, oh, no, you don't. That's old. You don't need to do that anymore. Well, not everything old is bad, and not everything old is ineffective. Like, you still buy flowers, like we've been, to help someone grieve or to say Happy Valentine's Day, as we've been doing for hundreds of years, right? So HTML sitemaps, super important. Back to our internal linking concept. It's a way that you can have your site so much easier to crawl from Google's perspective, which again tells them, hey, I care about this content because I'm showing you. Google, which effectively, again, on the HTML front, is you're showing people. You can have all the URLs you want on an XML sitemap. If you're not linking to them via HTML as well, chances they get indexed, very low.
Jessica Bledsoe said, I'm old. My effectiveness is questionable. So I'm not sure that argument's going to hold up,
Yeah,
Mitch, but
Thanks,
that's okay. Love you, Jessica. All right, let's go. Let's go to the next one. I'm having a good time. This next one is Motion Point. Chantal, why don't you read Chantal's note in our Google Doc? I like that.
Yes. So we liked this one because they're thinking about starting fresh with their site. So it sounds like both revamping like the messaging and also all the technical SEO things. So I think it'll be really fun for us to dive into it today.
Okay. While you pull up this site, Mitch, here's a question for you. As a CEO, as a marketing person, and as someone who knows SEO, can we talk about like early stage-ish startups or new websites? Like, how do you balance? Actually, I'm not going to even lead you there. What's your perspective? Because I see too many times, like, it's going to take 3 months to get the website up. Like, what's your perspective on when to get the website up and how deep to go in order to get something going?
Yeah. You mean kind of by stage, or like really in that first startup spot?
I think for any new project, here's an example. We just did, like, I wanted to redo the whole exit5.com website, and I have all this content, and I'm working with this amazing agency, Lean Labs, and I can share this because they're doing an amazing job. But like, when they first gave me the plan, I was like, this is awesome, but here's the thing: like, I don't want to wait 6 months until like my website is done. And it's like, well, at 6 months you'll have 50 pages or 30 pages. But like, I was like, why not? Can we launch this now? Let's get the homepage done now. And I guess I end up answering my own question, but like, man, I see so many people just get stuck on this when it's like 80% of the action that you need for let's call it the next 90 days is going to be on the homepage. Can you please come up with a concept for the homepage and ship that, and then like go do the rest of the stuff later? Do you agree with that? Disagree? Anything to poke holes in with that approach? Because I typically am like a break it and then go fix it later type of person.
We are incredibly aligned in
Okay.
that. I don't know why so many marketers are fearful of single point in time interactions. So you think about, like, when we launched our website at Demandwell, this is back in 2019. When we launched that, do you think the 100% of the people, or even 10% of the people who saw our site in the first 90 days were so pissed at the experience that they'll never talk to us ever again? I feel like that's kind of where I hear a lot. It's very fear-based of, if you that first impression is so important, and you never get a second impression. Well, reality is you can get a lot of second impressions in the world of digital marketing.
Yeah. I also think, like, go ahead, Chantal.
I'm just going to say, we actually just redid our website at Demandwell, and the way that we prioritized it was kind of like anything that's in the header section of the website, like make sure those pages are ready to go. And then over the next couple of days, the whole marketing team just like jumped in and was like making sure the rest of the pages were good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like priorities, you know, like where
I also think like the homepage is like the ultimate. The homepage is like, to me, like the sales deck on the website. And so like you need to have thought through the story and the flow, and from the homepage you're going to jump off into all these other places anyway, like integration, solutions, about us, whatever. But you can't really get there unless you have nailed the story anyway. Okay, I gotta shut up because Motion Point is up. There are definitely some comments about this site in chat, and I love to see it. For me, I know this is early, but I am stuck on the only turnkey solution for multilingual web and digital content. And that is because even if that is true, I don't believe it. I don't believe it, period, because that's marketers. We like to abuse claims like that are, or we make them up. And so we are all going to be, the reader of this website is going to, even if that's true, going to be like, I don't believe it. And so you could say it later, but I think you have to be able to prove it at some point. Otherwise, I'm like, is it really the only? The other thing is back to what I mentioned earlier about like crutch words. I think turnkey solution, those are crutch words where like I would love to like take those two words and shake them and go, what are you really trying to say? Like because that's where we usually like get stuck on those things. And so I would try to say that in a different way. But also my overall feedback on all these headlines is also similar here. This might be an important line in your about us or wherever later down this page, but I think you need to lead with a benefit-driven headline. Lead with a benefit-driven headline. If you take away anything, lead with a benefit-driven headline. So there's something in here that we can work with. Motion Point solves the operational complexity and cost of localizing web and digital content. Those are very emotional. Those are emotional things. Operational complexity sounds like a nightmare. It's probably a nightmare to try to localize your content, right? If you're selling to marketers or anybody in digital marketing, whatever, it's a nightmare to do that. So it's complex. So we can talk about headaches, frustration, stress. We can also talk about cost. There's a huge cost. You can put a dollar amount on what's the cost of localizing web and digital content. So I would much rather see you try to articulate those things and come up with a catchier, benefit-driven headline, which is like, and I've said this phrase a bunch now, use it in a different way, but like say goodbye to headaches from complexity about translation and save thousands on localizing web and digital content, right? That's not a good headline. That's a blah. But something like that, to like that be the first impression that people that get when they come to your site, I would much rather clean it up and kind of go in that direction with the headline. On this site, we also see the famed dual CTA that we've talked about a couple times here, new to website translation, and then schedule a discovery session. So I love the schedule a discovery session. This is to me much better take on get a demo. So I've seen some things in here about people asking about like what are alternatives to get a demo. That intro call is kind of the same thing. Like what they're saying is like basically like, hey, do you want to talk to one of our salespeople? Because you can. But they position it as it's a discovery session. We're going to assess what you might need and help discover some things that you can go and improve. My only problem is I never like questions because you're not 100% sure that you know the answer. And so like new to website translation ? That could be a part of this site. It could be in the footer, could be in the header somewhere as someone's browsing a little bit deeper. But I would flip that. And I actually think I had clicked through this link before, but if you click new to website translation, what you get is 5 things to know about web translation. And like, why not lead with that? It's the same thing. And then you're like not hiding, like how many people are not getting to this content because you have it framed as a question, which is new to website translation. We're just like, let that sit on its own. Here, you're basically saying, here's why your business needs website translation. That's fantastic copy. That's going to help with conversion. The content is strong. I said that. There's actually I don't know if I love this or hate it, but I don't hate it. When you scroll on this website, or at least when I was scrolling before, there's kind of like this thing on the side that was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe I was on a different page because I don't see it on here. Maybe you have to be cookie, but it was almost like a progress bar for the website, which I thought was interesting to give me a sense of like how much content is coming. And I think that's what I got. I'm excited to read some of these chat comments after, but go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah, totally. Can I double click on the headline?
Please
Sentiment.
click on it. Why don't you click on it 3 times? Don't double click on it.
Oh,
Go 3 times.
Okay, full triple click here. This has nothing to do with this website, but I've I've seen a literal billboard recently here in the Indianapolis area. I don't know if this is like a national thing going on, and I can't remember who it was, but SOC 2 compliance. I think probably everyone on the call has heard, and like eye rolls, and it's just like this terrible experience that everyone hates. This billboard said compliance that doesn't SOC too much. And I was like,
love that. I love that.
Oh, that is brilliant. That's brilliant. Says
you know
what
why?
it is.
You know why I love that? Because we spend so much time trying to figure out like how our website is gonna say what we do and who we're for. Well, like this is why I'm obsessed with copywriting so much, because you just told me what you do and who you're for in one sentence, right? Like that. By putting SOC 2 and making a SOC 2 joke in the headline, you have dramatically shrunken the audience of like who that's going to be relevant to. And so I think that's a great way to think about copy and positioning. And this is why like the headline is such a big deal.
Yeah, totally.
Question for you, Dave. I recently, someone recently told me like in brand messaging, you basically are either better, faster, or cheaper. And you kind of just have to decide and like stick with that. And the doesn't SOC too much is either like maybe better, maybe faster, hard to say, but at least it gets at like, we're the pain relief for this horrible thing that you experience.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You can be better, faster, cheaper. Maybe I would add a fourth, which is like you could be different, but maybe that's a play on better. So yeah, like regardless of those ingredients, there's a quote that I like from Seth Godin that I talk about a lot, where he's talking about B2B marketing. He's like, what's the difference between, somebody asked him, what's the difference between B2C and B2B? And he said, well, in B2B, you're spending, you're not, when you're buying something, you're not having this internal conversation about your money. You're having an external conversation about like the company's money. And so when someone's buying your product, they're going to go to their boss and say, hey, I want to buy this thing. It needs to either be better, faster, or cheaper, right? But Seth Godin's thing was like, look, what people are going to go buy is they're going to go buy what they've bought before, because that's safe. And so I'm going to go buy the product that I bought at my last company and my last job, or they're going to buy the one that's cheaper, because cheaper is kind of perceived as always, I guess, the safer play and better, unless you can give them a story. And so you can give them some type of connection or a story. And so actually what I think that headline that Mitch talks about does is like, it doesn't tell you the whole story, but it's like, this brand might be cool as shit. Or like these might be people like they speak my language. Like it just might instantly get in. And so much of marketing is like, in a world where there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 solutions in any little niche, it is so often about being that company that gets in, and it might be the creative headline that got you there. So yes, I love that.
Yeah. All right, ready for some SEO nuggets?
I'm so ready. Should you accept the cookies? Have you ever seen there's like a TikTok that's like, accept this cookie? I have to find it.
I love it.
It's like if that were in real life, like someone just coming up, do you accept this cookie? All right, go ahead, SEO.
Hard pass. Dave, you come up to me saying that, hard pass, man.
Accept these cookies. Oh yeah, you all in the SEO crowd, you just must know you never accept the cookies.
Yeah, no, never.
But if it's a real cookie,
yeah, if it's real, if you're gonna ship that to me, go for it. That's what we should do. We should make a cookie shipping service. Every time someone accepts, it actually sends a cookie. That would be sweet. Okay, I think
be all sorts of privacy issues with that.
Oh yeah. Don't worry about that. Okay, I think this site out of our selection, I think is the fastest at 2 seconds, which is great. Right there, I will say, just caution for everyone. Sites get slower. Make sure you're monitoring that. So that's a good thing. Another thing is really kind of categorically for this site, talking about depth and breadth of content. And one of the ways that we measure that is taking a look at how many keywords are ranking per indexed URL. And so sometimes this can get a little confusing, but essentially, if you are doing a great job at SEO, you are going to have more keywords on each page, and therefore you're going to rank for many more keywords. So what we see kind of best in class websites are, you want to see about 15 keywords per page. And it doesn't mean that every single page on your site has a bunch of keywords, but it does mean that you're ranking for those keywords. So if on average, you have 1,000 pages, we would hope if you're doing a good job, you're probably ranking for, call it roughly 15,000 keywords. So when long tail is a phrase that gets tossed around, that's kind of how we measure it. It's like how many keywords per URL. Is it just the one that you're trying for, or are you getting that long tail and looking at, and attracting related keywords as well from Google's perspective? This website, Promotion Point, had an average of 3.4 keywords per URL that they're ranking for. And so essentially you're not getting as big of a bang for your buck. For every blood, sweat, and tear and dollar and head count that you're putting into content, you could be getting, call it 3 times as much if you were more focused on integrating keywords into the content.
Okay, I got you. So it's like that. It's just like, what happens when you're the footprint of your website? Like, is there like a tipping point where like you shouldn't have X keywords or X content? Like, I meant to ask you this earlier, but you talked about it.
Yeah.
What do companies do that just have like huge websites? Like, is all that stuff relevant, or is there like diminishing returns? Like, should you cap it at like, hey, let's have 12 really good pages, or is there benefit in having 200 pages?
Yeah, absolutely. There are limits, and it kind of depends on the industry. Like if there's a point of diminished returns if you are but it's solely dependent upon the demand. So if you continue to create supply, but you've already fulfilled the demand, you're not going to get much more. I would say in the B2B world, our minds are incredibly too small when it comes to content. And when we say, if you saying the number 200, probably like, if you went to someone and said you should create 200 pieces of content, they would freak out. I know that because we tell people on average, you should be creating, as a B2B SaaS company, you should be creating around 250 pages a year. And that just blows people's minds. Other industries are really used to that. I used to work at a company that was in the home security services industry. We actually published 12,000 pages over the course of 6 months that were all relatively unique to each other, using data points from various cities around America. And that was like $1 million project, $1 million budget project that created $1 million in net new revenue every month following that. So that market was massive. We were targeting nearly every neighborhood in America. B2B markets are typically smaller than that, but a lot larger than how we typically think. So one quick example, back to what you were saying about, when you're a startup, how much you have and how does that evolve over time. One very specific story that we've had recently around someone who was in stealth mode. They did not want to fully launch their website. If you went to their homepage, it said, coming soon, that kind of thing. But we were creating a ton of content behind the scenes. We were linking to it in an HTML sitemap, so technically humans could find it. But Google was finding it, and they were driving traffic even before they were, ready for prime time. What that allowed them to do was, on the day that they did officially launch, they were already getting hundreds of people to their website already. So everything was just better after that. They were able to run, understand from a conversion rate perspective and do tests just out of the gate. So best time to start SEO is always 12 months ago, kind of no matter who you are.
It's funny is I learned that lesson at Drift, and so one of the first things that we focus on at Privy was SEO, because I ignored it for a long time, and then like we missed out on, you're like, how am I going to grow traffic X? And it's like, well, actually the real way is like if we made this investment 2 years ago. But I'm a sucker for short-term wins and goals, and like it's easy to just to focus on that stuff. Okay, we have like two minutes left. People are loving copy teardowns. I'm really stuck on how we're going to do more of how we'll have to figure out how to do more of this. So thanks to Mitch and Chantal for having this idea. Actually, shout out to Chantal for having this idea, and we made it happen. So let's go. Galena, you have to run a mile. You have to send us your mile time, because we're gonna send out the recording. Okay, I got you. Sorry, it's a burpee mile. It's way worse. Okay, let's go last one. Launchdarkly.com, because I want to I have one more copy note that I want to put on tape before we get out of here. And then Mitch, if you
one that they asked us not to show.
They asked us not to share this. The kind folks at Launch Darkly have declined. They have withdrawn their request to be criticized by us. So smart move. And what's cool is that Chantal and Mitch actually did a bunch of like SEO work, and so I think you said you're going to reach out to them and send it to them. But anyway, this was a lot of fun. We could talk about this forever. I really feel like we could spend the next 6 hours doing this, but we can't. Last question, Mitch. Can you confirm or deny that you are in a traveling studio right now?
I am. If anyone knows what a toy hauler is, I have one. I am currently in the garage portion of it. It's like an RV up front, garage in the back.
Yeah, you got to explain what that is for us non-Midwesterners.
Yeah.
Sounds like a hair. That sounds like a haircut.
Like yelling.
Yeah, exactly. It is a type of haircut. Yeah, it's a camper, trailer, RV, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, also my office. I'm big into off-roading, like 4-wheelers, dirt bikes, that kind of stuff.
And SEO. Isn't life amazing?
And SEO.
All right, Mitch, Chantal, we'll see you out there. Everybody else that joined us, thanks. I'm glad. This was a lot of fun. It is fun to do the live. I'm reminded why we do the live things, because like, yes, this could have been just us, but we wouldn't have got as much fun or silly stuff out of and helpful stuff out of chat too. So this was awesome. Go to demandwell.com. These folks are awesome at what they do. Ray was in chat just shouting out Demandwell all day. And so if you're interested in more of the SEO side, and they can tackle a lot of the things that we came up with today. They can't magically tackle maybe you all could develop like a jargon cutter or something as like a lead magnet, but cool. All right, we'll see you all later. Thanks for doing it.